Hello everyone, and welcome to the Dice Commando YouTube channel. I'm Andrew, with you here as always. This is the Commando Cast, a video cast about all things Star Wars Destiny. This video and others like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. Please show your support with a like and subscribe, and be sure to hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any new videos. If you want to get involved with the channel, consider becoming a channel member. There are many benefits to channel membership, including access to our Discord, exclusive deck tech and strategy videos, and the opportunity to help create channel content. I want to sincerely thank all our channel members, as I truly couldn't do this without your support. You guys rock. Go Commando. Last January, during spoiler season for H2 Redemption, I posted a video immediately following Dr. Aphra's reveal, declaring that Aphra is amazing, and I was incredibly excited to play her. All aboard the hype train. I was driving. In that video, I even declared I think Aphra is the best card I've ever seen in Star Wars Destiny. Now, obviously, as the set reveals continued, that statement was proven to be incorrect. Aphra never really made a huge splash in the Redemption meta, so we can chalk that one up to me being wrong. It's an overreaction and some overexcitement. But now, we're 2 metas removed, things are very, very different. We've gotten some new toys in high stakes, and we got some old toys back with the reprint. So she pings, she recycles, she can go wide, and she brings a sandcrawler-sized toolbox of droids to the table for you. So today we're talking how Aphra's back, baby, and what we can do with her in today's meta. Hey Star Wars Destiny folks, welcome back to Dice Commando. Thanks for tuning in again today, talking all about Dr. Aphra. So, yes, we are 2 things removed. She did get a bunch of toys, as I alluded to in high stakes. But I think, a lot of stuff came back, specifically Act of Cruelty, with the reprint list. So, and man, yeah, reprint's been out for a week already. Though, I mean, it feels like it's been out longer, but I guess most of us have been playing with it longer. So, anyway, let's get right into this today and talk about why I think Aphra's in a really, really good spot. So, I think one of the better things to do actually is let's go ahead and start off just by comparing her with old Aphra, right? So, old Aphra was a staple, right? From the get, well, maybe not from the get-go. She kind of had a little hard time until Way of the Force, and that's really when 000 and BT1 came. But the big thing about Aphra, old Aphra, was her card draw, right? I mean, that was the biggest thing that she brought to the table, was just maximum card advantage. The ping, of course, right? I'm not dismissing the ping, but the biggest thing she had was the unlimited card draw, right? I kind of wish that it had been like a, first turn effect or something like that, but I mean, that is what it is. My point being that's the biggest difference, in my opinion, between old Aphra in terms of trying to run those big support decks and a new Aphra, right? Because new Aphra does a lot of good things, obviously. Primarily, like I said, bringing the droid toolbox, right? And it is literally a toolbox because you can decide what you want to do before each game. So the big change for and she hasn't been like I tried her with Chewie primarily. I tried her in a couple other lineups very early in Redemption, and she wasn't huge in high stakes, even though she got some pretty massive tools. But now that I think she's got a couple old tricks. Anyway, so let's run this down, right? So what she has available to her is the mouse droid is 0. She's got the Staps, which are really strong. The Dark Trooper out of high stakes is also a great option. The Hailfires are back. That's definitely a route you could go there. We have the Coruscant Police, which is a card that I think is highly underrated. Not just because of its on-playability, but the fact that it's got 50% damage sides. It's red, but of course that's not entirely relevant with her. But I do think that's a decent die to have on the table. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who would... I mean, it's basically got the same... Now, it doesn't do the same thing as Crate Speeder does, but it's got the same sides as Crate Speeder in terms of damage, right? and Coruscant Police also has no blanks, I believe, right? So very, very good. Has never seen a lot of play, but it's an option to you as well. And then let us not forget the Viper probe droid. So I know there are a lot more droid options out there, even some in the blue like BD1 or whatever. But those ones I just read out, I think, are her primary tools. The mouse droid out of High Stakes being pretty massive, right? Because you combine that with some of her other toys, right? The primary battlefield, of course, being Abandoned Refinery. The mouse droid can come down for 0, throw a ping. It can focus one of your dice, probably to money, and then you can chuck it. You also have some other tools that came out of High Stakes, primarily self-destruct, right? If you can't chuck it, you can throw it. So you have that available to you as well. The Dark Troopers I've been seeing doing some pretty serious work in lists with Watt, right? Like a 3-wide list with Watt. So anyway, those are the droids on the table. Viper Probe Droid, of course, is no joke in like a villain deck. I think most of the time right now you're going to be trying to go, at least that's what I've been looking at, or at least seeing more, is trying to basically go wide, like a 3-wide villain with Watt, basically. So now let me run into the pairs available for her. So I'd spoken to Aphra Chewie. It's not horrible, but I don't think, because remember, Chewie has the 2 resource side, right? And Aphra lets you run Reap, so you can get it. He can kind of keep her alive a little bit. It's okay, right? But it's not like a tier 1, right? Or it's not even like really within spitting distance of tier 1, right? But it's not bad. Plus you get more pings on Chewie, right, from the Protector thing, or from the Guardian thing, sorry. And you've got some options there. Probably one of the things that I've been looking at the most to pair her with is Aphra with Grand Design. Remember, that's still legal. And that kind of gets you that kind of puts you back in the range of, that's why I made the comparison earlier, is like one of her disadvantages to old Aphra was the card draw. This, of course, doesn't get you unlimited card draw, but when you drop a STAP, you drop a VPD, you drop a mouse droid, you get 1 more card in your hand. Abandoned Refinery, remember, gives you 1 more card in your hand, right? So by furthering your game plan, you're replenishing your hand, because which is actually not irrelevant on the first turn, especially, right? Because remember, she shuffles in after setup, so you can't draw any of your first 6 cards, or not first, sorry, you can't draw in your hand or in your mulligan any of the 6 cards, the 6 droids that you're bringing to the table. Now, also remember in those cards, of course, I think we all know this point because we've talked about it in circles, but you can bring 6 of the same. You can bring 6 droids, no restrictions. So you could have, 8 assassin droids in your deck if you wanted it. You could have 8 Hailfires if you wanted it. She, of course, also has, you're definitely playing her with Tech Team, right? That's your binds all things of the Aphra world. Could play Merchant with her as well, just for additional ramp and additional card draw if you wanted it. I don't necessarily know that you need it, because you're going to start kind of running out of space, I think. But yeah, between Grand Design and Abandoned Refinery, got a lot of options there. But so anyway, point of the Aphra Grand Design thing is that can kind of set some team comps, right? So Grand Design, remember, is a 2-pointer. So that puts Aphra at 12 most of the time, I think. In most of these builds, I think, most of the wide builds, that is, you're going to be playing her single die, right? So you're playing basically a 12-pointer. Remember, Watt is 9-12. You tack, him single die he was pretty much always single die for the most part, right? So Watt, that puts you at 21. And then you've got 9 points to play with. Your third option there you can get flexible with if you want. You could do like the Sentinel thing and run blue, because there's no shortage of like cheap blue removal right now. Crash Landing's back. I guess Crash Landing's not as good as it used to be with old Aphra right on the ping, or I guess with BT. But keep in mind, by the way, I didn't speak about BT and 000. I don't know how amazing they are here with her right now. I kind of just like the ping spam, but the guys have served their purpose in the past. But remember how it was always so necessary to get 000 down. Anyway, let's keep on the characters, shall we, Andrew? All right, so we have Aphra Watt, and like I said, there's Sentinel. I've seen a lot of work done with Ozzel because he's cheap and brings money to the table. You have to do kind of the odd thing with the battlefield thing, which is, makes it hard to get the refinery. When I've played against it, actually, I've let them have the refinery because I know I'm faster. So it's actually helped me ramp. So do watch out for that as well, because they can choose to lose to take more shields because they know you're going to ping them, and then they're faster. So anyway, just throwing that out there as well. The last one I've been looking at kind of hard, and it fits kind of more in the Aphra Chewie range, is Aphra and Tarkin, right? Remember good old Tarkin at 16 points. He's back in the game with the reprints. Now, why Tarkin, right? His power action, right? What do stabs do? A lot of times, stabs have 2 blanks. So you're dropping, you could run a bunch of stabs. You can run 2 in your deck because you're red villain. You could run probably 4 more stabs for a total of 6. Well, by the time you get your VPDs and your mouse droids, and I think your Dark Troopers probably you're running mostly with Watt, I would think in that case, right? Because they're a little more expensive, but don't underestimate the power of the Dark Trooper either, right? So those are the ones I like now. I mean, I think that the comfort zone for a lot of people. I mean, shout out to Rebel Trader. I know he's working on this as well. I think a comfort zone for a lot of people is going to be to go like the 3 wide villain kind of traditional ramp that we saw really for a long time, at least in the convergence meta. I think that's where a lot of people are going to go. What was it? It was Aphra, Grievous, Sentinel. Is that right? Yeah, I think that was right. So I think it's where a lot of people are go. But I think you want to really try and figure out how to work grand design in, especially if you're running like the cheap villain. Well, I mean, I think you want to try and figure out how to run it regardless. But I think you want to try and figure out how to get grand design in for those extra cards. Because like I said, you can potentially start drawing into your extra cards on turn 1. If you can start out with Abandoned Refinery, get something down for additional ping, ramp, draw, right? You've got that going for you. And she's really strong. Okay, so I think I've run down the characters and the droids. So now let's go. Why the reprint thing? Why does it matter? Is it just because I'm obsessed with the Hailfire thing? I mean, kind of. I think the Hailfire thing's pretty good because don't forget the Hailfire has a freaking die too, right? But she also got Act Cruelty back. That for me was pretty big. And you guys know I love that card, but what are you doing with pink damage? You're spreading it around, and who loves taking advantage of that is Act of Cruelty, right? So we got that back. Also, I know I've been touting Abandoned Refinery through all this, but another card that came back, I'm still concerned it did, but it's back, so you may as well use it, right? Weapons Factory Alpha, if you're going the Hailfire route, Weapons Factory Alpha doesn't suck. We also have, Self-Destruct was out of high stakes, but you have Improvised Explosives. Actually, that's always been there. But again, it's just more burn, right? I mean, it's ping, burn, and lots of dice, right? I mean, the staps are not to be underestimated. Those things do work, right? And especially if you're running with Tarkin, you can turn that PA into 4 indirect. Anyway, a lot of good stuff with Aphra. I don't think I've officially come up with what I think is the strongest deck yet. I'm not lying here. I've got about 15 pages that I worked on the plane of different Aphra builds that I'm trying to figure out and optimize. I think the one I favor right now is probably the Watt Dark Trooper. I don't know if I've been saying Death Trooper. I just realized that, but Dark Trooper is what I've been meaning. The Dark Trooper build is pretty good because he's got 4 damage sides, one of which is a 3-for-1. By late game, you're rolling in cash. You can still play Headstrong. You can play because you've got the 2 leaders, right? And I'm talking like the Ozzel Watt build. You've got Grand Design for the draw. You've got Power of the Tribe available to you. You've got all sorts of crazy stuff. By the way, don't forget Easy Pickings is back for Chewie, which also doesn't hurt. But again, you can't run Act of Cruelty in a hero deck. So, yeah, mostly on the villain side here. So, anyway, I know that I was all in on Aphra before, and it just didn't really work out. So I know I'm back on Aphra again, saying that she's really good. And to be clear, I'm not saying I'm all in on Aphra. I've got a couple other decks that I really enjoy right now. But it's been hard for me to get my head off of where Aphra is, because I think she's in a really great spot, and I'm having a lot of fun theory crafting with her. So it's been a lot of fun. So anyway, for those of you guys out there who, I know there's a lot of people who have years, literally years of experience running old Aphra. I think a lot of that directly translates, even though it's, not exactly the same. But, let me know what you're thinking, what crazy villain builds, or I should say, what crazy evil genius builds you guys are working on. Or maybe don't, because you're saving them for the mid-cycle. Fair enough. Anyway, thanks folks for joining me today, and go Commando.